Hi, here's how you solder an XLR to TRS cable. First, we peel off the cover. You can decide the length that you need. I'm gonna cut maybe like 15 centimeters or so. I twist carefully so that the inner cables don't break, so that I can only take the rubber cover off. Then pull off the rubber casing, and inside we find the signal cables and then some protective cloth or whatever it's called. Then we cut off the excess protective clothing that's inside of the cable or shield or whatever it's called. Then we're gonna cut up some heat shrinking tubing for later use. And that's what I'm gonna do first to the cable. So I'm gonna put the heat shrinking tubing. This is just an aesthetical thing that I like to do with the cables. Next, we peel off the plastic cover from the cable, from the channels. We find a ground cable inside it, and then we have two signal wires. We twist the ground wire, and then we cut off a couple of millimeters from the ends of the signal wires. We peel off the plastics, and then we twist the copper inside for it to be nice and smooth and for the solder to be nice. Then we apply some solder to the cables. We solder every end of every cable. We apply the solder to the signal wires and then also to the ground wires. And now we're gonna speed up the footage. And after we have soldered the cables, the ends, we trim them off with cutters, just a small bit from the end. And then we take the bushing and then we put it to the cable ends. This is a very important step because you can't apply the bushing after you have soldered the audio connections. And yeah, I guarantee you will forget a few times to put the bushing before you solder the connections, but that's how you learn. You learn through mistakes. Then I apply the solders and trim out the ends of the cables and put the bushings back. Then it's time to prepare the connections with solder. Apply solder to all of the cups of the connection. Like so. And after we've filled the cups on the connection with solder, we start soldering the wires into the cups. It helps to put a little bit of solder into the iron. It makes the solder in the cup melt faster. This takes a while to learn, and I am still in the learning process myself. We apply heat to the tin in the cup. It should turn liquid as well as the tin in the wire. And when they're liquidified, you can align them. Then we take the soldering iron away and it will solidify. We put in the chuck and the casing. What I do at this point is that I align the chuck to the bushing, and then I apply the casing. And then you turn the bushing clockwise, and there you have it. Then it's time for the TRS connection. This was new connection for me as well, so bear with me. I had to Google a bit that which one is the positive and which one is the negative. Then we apply some solder to the connections. And then we first solder in the ground, because the ground is the bottom part of the connector. This took a while and it turned out pretty messy. But eventually the cable attached to the connector. A very surprisingly difficult. Third time is the charm, I guess. You can see it takes me a long time too. And there we go. And then we solder the signal wires to the respective points in the TRS cable. I googled it wrong and I got it wrong the first time around. I thought the center connection was the sleeve and the top connection was the tip, but it was the other way around. And there's a small hole in the top connector on the TRS, which you can put the signal wire through, and then it's easier to solder. By the way, the golden stuff is cleaning brass for the soldering iron. But yeah, this took me a while, and I did it wrong too. So yeah, you can see that I'm struggling with the wire here. But hey, we learn together, right? I apply some solder to the soldering iron for the solder to flow better. And yeah, if you have any tips, you can comment on this video that how can I solder better, because I want to learn this too. Yeah, I will post a couple of pictures of the connections to this video as well for you to see. So the tip is positive, the ring is negative, and the sleeve is the ground. TRS, tip ring sleeve. And we take the chuck and the bushing and the casing and we connect them together. This is much slower than I thought it would be. And then we take it, we align the parts, and then we twist it. And there we have it. Thought it was ready, but as I mentioned before, I tried it the wrong way around, and I found it easier to just remove the XLR connectors and switch the cables from there. So I have this logic that blue is cold and the other wire is. Blue is cold and red is hot, or blue is negative and red is positive. But yeah, I had to switch them the other way around, because when testing the cable I found out that I soldered it the wrong way around. And yeah, I'll solder the cables back to the respective connectors, and then we take a multimeter, we put on the diode testing mode, which is this triangle line symbol. We place the other end to the first pin, which is the ground, and we put it to the sleeve, then to the second hole, which is a positive tip. We test out the other so that there's no connection, and then the third, which is the ring. Test out the other parts of the connector as well so that there's no signal, that the signal is only on the respective connection points. And then we have this heat shrinking sock on top of it, and we heat it. We heat it with a heat gun, and you can see it turns out pretty nice and sleek. And there we have it. Then I took a cable strap that I put around the cable, and then I rolled the cable to a nice roll. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you learned something, and please let me know in the comments if I could do something better or differently.